What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Breaking and Entering podcast. Week 7 recap is underway. Brandon, how we doing today, man?
Doing great. Victory Tuesday. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. Been a rough week for me fantasy wise. I'll get into a little bit of that later, but let's just get this opening drive going, shall we?
All right, everyone. Tough news for Deshaun Watson, the veteran quarterback. He's out for the season with a ruptured Achilles. The Browns have signed Bailey Zappi off the Chiefs practice squad to help fill the void. Hassan Reddick, he's ended his holdout with the Jets. He's returned to the team on Monday. Jets have decided to waive the fines he was given during the season. He will have to continue to pay back the money from training camp that he missed, though. ESPN reports that there are teams looking to trade for Jets wide receiver Garrett Wilson after the team acquired Devontae Adams last week. Patriots head coach uh, Gerard Mayo, he called his team soft after a beatdown in London against the Jaguars. Tua Tagovailoa, he's expected to practice this week, and he could play on Sunday against the Cardinals. The Raiders, they've signed quarterback Desmond Ritter after Aiden O'Connell was injured in Sunday's loss against the Rams. Tough news for the Bucks wide receiver room as well. Their wideout Chris Godwin, he's likely out for the year with a dislocated left ankle. And Mike Evans, he was also injured against the Ravens. He's expected to be sidelined a few weeks with a hamstring injury. He was already nursing that heading into the game. Commanders have released former 2021 um, defensive end Jamin Davis. I probably got it wrong. It just told me before the show. Um, Apologize to the young man if I butchered your name. And Alvin Kamara, he's staying put in New Orleans with a new 2 year, $24.5 billion extension with the Saints.
All right, let's get into the matchup, shall we? We had the Lions beating the Vikings 31-29. Very close game. Started with the Vikings going up on the Lions 10-0, and then the Lions started getting on the board. They eventually scored 21 straight points. So it was 21-10 going into halftime. Then the Vikings scored again. Sam Darnold connected with Justin Jefferson to make it 21 or 17-21. And then the Lions scored again, make it 28-17. Just a back and forth game. David Montgomery, he went down early in this game. I think it was an ankle injury, came back, but Jahmyr Gibbs was the leading show today for that backfield. He had a nice, I want to say like 50 plus yard run, had a nice cutback on one of the defenders and just took off in the end zone. Really showed his first round draft pick worth this game, man. Sam Darnold, he didn't play a bad game. He did throw an interception, but overall, you look at his stats: 22 of 27, 259 yards. I think the main thing of this game was turnovers. That when going into this game, we talked about it. We said whoever turned the ball over less would win this game, and that's kind of how it played out. Brian Branch, the defender for the Lions, he had a huge interception that I think was one of the main reasons why the Lions won this game. But yeah, man, great game. Can't wait to see these two teams play again further down the road in that NFC North. Honestly, right now it's looking like the best division in football. But yeah, Brandon, what did you think of this game?
The NFC North, just again what we expected to happen. This one kind of high scoring back and forth. Good defense as far as getting to the quarterback on both sides. Jared Goff, another solid game, nearly finishing with another perfect game and a perfect QBR. I think he was perfect into the third quarter, if I'm not mistaken. I know it was late into the game. And Ben Johnson, he made sure that Minnesota defense had their hands full with both Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown as well in both phases of the offense. Both those guys got over 100 yards on the ground and through the air as well. You mentioned Brian Branch. Two solid back-to-back games for him. Another interception. That's three for him in the past two games. Good for the young man out of Alabama. But yeah, it's crazy when I was looking at the stats how close this game was for both teams and time of possession, the turnovers, the penalties, penalty yards, the sacks, passing yards, and rushing yards. They literally were identical across the board. But when it all came down to it, Minnesota, they failed on that 2 point conversion after the pace fumble return for a touchdown. Then Detroit went for an 8 play, 44-yard drive. They got the ball back just before the 2 minute warning, and next thing you know, reservation for three at the Bates Hotel. Credit that to Nate Barrelson there on CBS Sports. Game winning kick for the field goal kicker um, out of the University of Arkansas. Good win for the Detroit Lions there to, again, in one game to take control of the NFC North that's been held down by the Vikings all season long.
Yeah, for real. You mentioned the sacks. The Lions definitely missed Hutchinson's presence out there. There was a lot of times during that game where Sam Darnold just had a lot of time in the pocket to do what he needed to do, and definitely you could tell that Aiden Hutchinson will miss. Even though the Lions did get a couple of sacks, the pressures that Aiden Hutchinson used to provide was definitely missing that game. But they were still able to get the job done without him. So see how that looks going forward. All right, before we get going with the rest of these games that we're going to talk about, this episode is brought to you by Premium, a CBD and wellness company. Check out their full line of CBD infused products, which make great stocking stuffers for the upcoming holiday season. Perfect for athletes, weekend warriors, soccer moms, and even armchair quarterbacks. They have CBD infused honey, which is a personal favorite, as well as tinctures and mint and regular flavor. Most importantly, they're veteran and women owned. So come get some of this sweet temptation and taste the premium difference. Use code BNE for 15% off your order. Now let's get back to our show.
Oh, what a game there in Lambeau Field, the historic Lambeau Field up in Green Bay. Sunday afternoon, the Packers came out on top over the Texans 24-22. It was a long day for the quarterbacks, man, especially Jordan Love, my MVP quarterback. He turned over the ball twice. Uh, Green Bay also had a special teams turnover as well to put them behind early. But on the final drive, Love hit Romeo Dobbs for a 13-yard gain. Will Anderson, he jumped all sides, and then Dobbs caught another short pass to set up the field goal. Brandon McManus, I mentioned it heading into this game that I thought that he might be a factor as the newest member of the Packers, and he did. He didn't play all season long, and he kicked that 45-yarder as the clock expired for a Green Bay win. I think that was his only field goal on the day. Wasn't all a bad game though for Houston. Defense got after Jordan Love all game long. They threw different looks at him. Held the Green Bay running back in check, less than 90 yards on the ground there. And then CJ Stroud and the offense, they couldn't really get anything going, especially through the air. Dalton Schultz, he led all receivers with 28 yards total. We know this Green Bay defense is pretty good. You know, they're not as good as their division foe, Minnesota Vikings, but they're definitely pretty good up there in the soon-to-be frozen tundra up there. So, yeah, heading into this game, I thought Green Bay couldn't afford to lose this one just because of the way the NFC North is starting to shape up. So it's definitely a good win, a much-needed win for them in a sense. I think the Texans had a little bit of wiggle room there in the AFC South. You know, despite their loss, it's not as competitive down there in their division. Ed, what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, man. If it wasn't for Joe Mixon, I'm not too sure how the Texans would have done in this game. Because, like you said, it was not a good night for CJ Stroud. I mean, only 86 yards passing. That's kind of crazy to me. I talked about my guy Stephon Diggs before the game and how he kind of got into it the previous time he played against the Packers with Jair Alexander. Well, the same thing happened this game too. He had a little before the game started during the warm-ups. They were hooping and hollering at each other. I think one of the other Green Bay Packers players got involved a little bit. I want to say Keyshawn Nixon, I believe his name is, kind of got into it. For the most part, I mean, they held Stephon Diggs in check. I mean, he only had 23 yards off of 5 catches. So, I mean, that secondary and the defense definitely did a number on that passing game for the Texans. But like I said, Joe Mixon, definitely the MVP for the Texans that game. 115 yards, 2 touchdowns. If it wasn't for him, who knows how bad this game would have been. And like you said, Green Bay definitely needed this win. I'm looking at the overall standings right now. They are 5-2 right now, but they're still in third place in the NFC North, which is crazy to me. But yeah, man, the Packers, I think they're gonna kind of get on a roll. I do see Minnesota starting to slip a little bit, even though Sam Darnold's been consistent. I just can see it kind of happening. We're going to talk about that more later in our Week 8 preview show, but definitely a good win for the Packers. Texans, I don't know, man. Like I said before the show, something about CJ Stroud and that offense is not the same. He's had a couple of good games, but there's been some head scratching games that where he hasn't looked good, and those numbers are like pedestrian at best. But most of those games they were able to win. This one they weren't able to pull it out. They did keep it close though. Like I said, 24-22. Brian McManus won the game at the end off that field goal. So we'll see how the Texans go from here, and we see how the Packers go from here as well. All right, the next game we're going to talk about is the Rams beating the Raiders 20-15. Aiden O'Connell started this game, but then he had to go out. I believe he had a hand injury. If I'm not mistaken, it was a thumb injury that he's dealing with. Could be a broken thumb. So we'll see how long he's out for. Gardner Minshew came in there and, threw 3 interceptions. I guess we could see why the Raiders decided to go with Aiden O'Connell. I will say I thought some of those interceptions, maybe one of them wasn't really on him. But yeah, man, definitely a rough day at the office for him. Vegas came out first and got a field goal, and then the Rams did Rams things. Kyren Williams, ladies and gentlemen, had himself a game, 2 touchdowns. They went up 14-3. And I think the lead at halftime was 14-6. Raiders only scored field goals in this game. Brock Bowers had a good game, 10 catches for 93 yards, but that offense could not get in the end zone. That, at the end of the game costed them because the Rams are able to score touchdowns and the Raiders were not. Interested to see what the Raiders are going to do going forward. Are they going to start tanking? Because they obviously need a quarterback. I think the guys they have now are backups at best. Who knows? Aiden O'Connell could be the guy, but I haven't seen that out of him yet. But yeah, I wonder what the Raiders are gonna do. And I don't know. I think the coach will still be there another year, but I wouldn't be surprised if his seat starts getting hot and they try to get rid of him at the end of the year, and maybe even before the year ends if they just continue to go how they go. I mean, there's kind of standing games. They got the Chiefs next week. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't know. What did you think of this game, man?
The Davis family, they were harsh on coaches too. They get rid of them within a year. So yeah, Antonio Pierce better watch himself for sure. 4 turnovers. That was the difference to me in this game. LA's defense, they hadn't really been that good this year since Aaron Donald retired. They certainly responded in this one. Kobe Durant and Jalen McDonald took the ball away for the Rams defense. Jalen had 2 interceptions himself. Durant, he said after the game, going into the Rams defense, they were looking to attack the ball, and it definitely showed in this one. And then on offense, Matthew Stafford and his guys struggled to get things going. Only finished with 154 yards passing, but you mentioned the ground game helped rescue them in this one because it was the lowest total for Stafford, passing yards wise since he's been a member of the Los Angeles Rams. But yeah, you mentioned Aiden O'Connell leaving the game. Antonio Pierce, he had no other option but to go with Gardner Minshew. Definitely seemed like he had some rust or something wasn't working right there. 3 interceptions, not a good game for him. But yeah, with that, the Rams are now 3-0 against the Raiders since they moved back to Las Vegas years ago. So kudos to them. Good win for the Rams. And this one was it last night? Yeah, Monday Night Football.
Okay, we're going to go to the Monday night game of the Chargers and the Cardinals. Cardinals beat the Chargers 17-15. I mentioned earlier how I didn't have a good week of fantasy football. Well, this is one of the games that kind of costed me wins in my damn leagues. Kyler Murray, I was playing against him in multiple leagues, and for the most part, he was held in check. And then Chargers let him go off for a damn 44-yard rush and score a touchdown. I'm just looking at the play and just shook my head. The defender it was only one guy on that side of the damn field, and he wasn't able to get him. And then he just ran down the field. And at the end, like the last 5 to 10 yards, he just looked back and kind of like jogged in the end zone. I was like, "Yep, just one of those days." Pretty much the Cardinals or the Chargers, from my standpoint, they couldn't get things going on offense. They couldn't score. touchdowns when they need to. Justin Herbert, he threw for 349 yards, but he could not get in the end zone. Will Dissly, he's like a backup tight end. Hayden Hurst was out. I think they had some other injuries out. Quentin Johnson, he was out as well. J.K. Dobbins, he wasn't able to do much. I think he only had about 40 yards rushing. And the Cardinals had just more electric plays. Kyler threw for a touchdown as well. He also threw a interception. I mean, Chargers did keep it close, but in the end, James Conner and Kyler Murray, the two biggest playmakers right now for the Cardinals, were able to do their thing. Not sure what's going on with Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison. It's another game where pedestrian numbers for Marvin Harrison. Looks like he's starting to get frustrated out there of not being able to make plays when he wants to. I mean, sometimes he'll get open, wide open, and Kyler, I guess, doesn't see him or is more worried about getting a check down to somebody else, or is just not in his vision at all, because it's weird. Like, I remember the first game, Marvin Harrison was wide open against the Bills, and Kyler just didn't see him, and they showed him again last night. So they definitely need to get that connection going, because I think it could be an electric one. I mean, looking at the division right now, the Cardinals are in second place, and this division, in my opinion, is wide open right now. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams overtake San Fran, just the way they're going and the injuries they had this week. And Seattle and Arizona. Seattle's 4-3, Arizona's 3-4. I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona or even the Rams make a run later in this season to make some things happen in that NFC West. But going back to this game, though, what'd you have in this game, man?
It shocked me because I thought that Los Angeles would be the dominant team on the ground, but the Cardinals, behind my guy James Conner, someone I know been high on since the day he signed from Pittsburgh over there. We knew him very well in the AFC North, and of course Kyler got it done. You mentioned his legs and the 44-yard gain and the touchdown as well. Those two guys were basically the players of the game, definitely on offense for the Cardinals. You mentioned the yardage for the Chargers, 395 total yards, did not score any touchdowns. It was all thanks to Cameron Dicker. Kind of remind me of the Ravens back, when we had Greg Roman, relied on the kicker all game long in the ground game. But yeah, 28, 40, 47, 50, and 59 yards for the kicker. It just wasn't enough, despite the fact the score was only 2-point differential at the end. But yeah, the mistakes were the difference in this game. Tyre Tat, I think I'm pronouncing his name right. He got a tipped interception. I remember them breaking into the Ravens game on Peyton and Eli with Scott Hansen. He was stripped by James Conner, and Arizona recovered. Would have gave LA great field position as well. And then Jalen Reagor, he fumbled after a big 42-yard catch and run. Was also stripped and resulted in a touchback there. That was another game-changing play. So, yeah, you never really know how these games are going to go, but these critical mistakes like this certainly shoot you in the foot, and it did for the Chargers. Did not expect this one to land in the favor of the Cardinals on Monday Night Football. This was the Monday Night Football game, folks, not the other one that I mentioned before.
Yeah, that was all right. Sunday game.
I'm probably all off. My bad. All right. Let's turn our attention to the player awards. We got Offensive Player of the Week. Who you got?
I have to give it to Saquon Barkley, man. 17 carries, 176 yards in the touchdown. Went to his old stomping grounds and basically stomped them out himself for the most part. So, yeah, Saquon Barkley is my Offensive Player of the Week.
I'm going to go with Tank Bigsby over there in London. 4.5 yards per carry against the Patriots, 26 carries for $118 and 2 touchdowns there. For the Jaguars, surprised me in a win against the Patriots. I actually did pick the Patriots, folks. Looked good early on, though, just for a few minutes. Defensive Player of the Week, who you got?
I'm going to have to give it to Brian Branch of the Lions, man. He had that interception that I think was very beneficial for them in winning that game. Also had 4 tackles, but that interception he had was definitely a huge play for them. And I'm also going to give a shout out to my Commanders, man. Dante Fowler had a pick 6, and Emmanuel Forbes, he had an interception as well. He was been a healthy scratch a couple of times this season for the Commanders, but he went out there and got himself an interception. Hopefully he can build off of that and just play more consistent and better. going forward.
All right, I'm gonna go with well, kind of sort of in two different ways here. I'm gonna go with the entire Eagles defense, 8 total sacks on the Giants quarterbacks, ended up benching Daniel Jones. New York finished with only 45 passing yards the entire game after all the sack yardage was subtracted from it. 76 yards on the ground, just pathetic. But give me the N'Kobe Dean. All in all, linebacker finished with 11 tackles, 2 tackles for losses, 4 quarterback hits, and 2 sacks against the New York Football Giants on Sunday afternoon at MetLife. Special teams player of the week. Who you got?
Charlie Jones, the Bengals kick returner. I think it was the first damn play of the game and the first kickoff of the game. He returned 100 yards for a touchdown. The Bengals won that game 21-14. So he's definitely one of the X factors in the win for the Bengals. Charlie Jones, my special teamer of the week.
I'm going Brandon McManus, not because we had the same first name, but because the guy kicked the game winner from 45 yards out there in Green Bay against a good Houston Texans team. Again, Green Bay needed this win there in their division. He also had 3 extra points as well for the Packers in their close win over the Texans. Bonehead player call of the week. What do you got?
Bonehead call of the week. I was gonna give it to Todd Bowles, but I forgot about the Jets interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich, who almost got away with giving up a touchdown or having a touchdown call back because he wanted to challenge it the play before, but he accidentally dropped the damn challenge flag as he was dropping out of his pocket. So that's a bonehead play off itself. And then if he was able to throw it, but by the time the play went off and they scored, it was let go. But so yeah, he gets a bonehead for that, just for dropping it and wanting to challenge the play before that and almost giving up or costing them a touchdown. So Jets interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich is my bonehead play of the week, play call of the week, potential play call, I guess.
Because I did not even hear about that one. That's funny there. I'm going to go with Big Trent Williams out there in Santa Clara, the San Francisco 49ers. Not the first time we've seen him lose his cool late fourth quarter against the Chiefs. He gets mad. He punches Chief safety Brian Cook in the helmet. Ref sees it. He gets ejected. He also got ejected against the Eagles a few years ago in the championship game. This is a first ballot Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer. Not a good look for somebody that's probably a captain of the team or definitely one of the leaders there on the offensive line. He's got to, in my opinion, to maintain his control and help his team, do better. They're struggling right now, so they need you in there, big guy. No matter what the score was, you got to be there in all times, unless it's to the point where you're getting blown out and your team, your coach pulls the entire offense. But got to do better than that. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some, but you got to keep yourself cool.
Yeah, I'll say this ain't the first time. It's probably won't be the last time he smacked somebody upside the head doing stuff like that. So yeah. Let's get into these other scores of week 7. We had the Steelers smoking the Jets 37-15. Sunday Night Football, the Jags beat the Patriots 32-16 in London. Seahawks crushed the Falcons 34-14. The Bills mopped the floor with the Titans 34-10. Joe Burrow finally got a win in Cleveland 21-14 over the Browns. Colts topped the Dolphins 16-10. Eagles destroyed the Giants 28-3 on the legs of Saquon Barkley. Commanders dominated the Panthers 40-7. Chiefs beat the 49ers in Santa Clara 28-18. And the Ravens overcame a 10-point hole in Monday Night Football to beat the Tampa Bay Bucks 41-31. Brandon, which of these games surprised you or caught your attention the most?
I did not. I was going to win in the fashion that they did, kind of dominated the ground game there against the Patriots, from start to finish, pretty much. Patriots, I think, did have an early lead, and things changed around. The Titans had the Bills early on as well, and it kind of had me questioning my lock of the week. Josh Allen, he really didn't start showing up until late second quarter into the second half. Joe Burrow, congratulations, first win there in Cleveland. Tough break for Deshaun Watson, the guy. I know the fans, I think they were booing him for his performance as he was leaving the field or got carted off the field. However, it ended up going there. But I heard Jameis Winston had some strong comments to the fans after that one there. And Commanders, despite losing their quarterback as well, your team, Ed, they, early on, it was right before half, they still came out and finished that game. It was against the Panthers, I know everyone, but to be able to keep that game in control and basically damn near shut them out. I mean, they didn't score until late in that game there at Northwest Stadium. So yeah, good win for the Commanders on Sunday afternoon. Which of these games caught your attention?
Yeah, definitely the Commanders beating the Panthers. We're looking like a good team. We're beating the teams we're supposed to beat. Jaden Daniels went out with that game for another rib injury. Honestly, I hope we just bench him until he's healthy. Hope maybe he's already healthy, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind if Marcus Mariota played against the Bears. I know it's a matchup between 1 and number 2 picks, but we can have that matchup down the road. I don't want to see him against that Bears defense and our old defensive end who was trying to make a statement for us trading him away or letting him go. So yeah, that was a eye opener for me. I think we're finally starting to become a good team and playing consistent, not just playing to the level of competition. Uh, Definitely the Seahawks beating the Falcons 34-14. I thought that game be a little bit closer, but it turned out that the Seahawks were able to win that one. They're kind of up and down to me. I wonder if they'll be able to play the consistent as they did. Chiefs and the 49ers, I guess the injuries kind of did the 49ers in. Brandon Ayuk went out. He's out for the season now, as mentioned earlier, with a knee injury. Deebo Samuel went out with sickness. I think he has pneumonia. I think George Kittle is banged up as well. So there's definitely a lot of injuries going on with the 49ers. Of course, you already know about Christian McCaffrey and the Achilles tendonitis he's dealing with. They still got some players on defense side of the ball. I think Dre Greenlaw is the one who got injured in the Super Bowl. He tore his Achilles. They'll need him back too. So 49ers are definitely on a downfall right now. And yeah, man, that Cleveland definitely Deshaun going off the field crying in tears and the fans booing and cheering and stuff definitely left a sour taste in my mouth. I know a lot of people are still mad at him about the off-field issues. They can say it's karma and stuff like that. But like you said, Jameis Winston, Myles Garrett, Joel Patonio, was a bunch of guys on that Browns team that weren't happy with the fans and what they did. A lot of debates going on about as well. Well, there shouldn't be sympathy for Deshaun. He's got all that guaranteed money and what he did off the field, what he was accused of, stuff like that with all the 20 plus women who accused him of what he was accused of. So, I mean, at the same time, man, fans are fans. So stuff like that's going to happen, but it's always leaves a sour taste in my mouth when that happens. But let's be honest. When guys are losing, fans are gonna give them shit. If the guys are winning, you could damn near commit murder, and fans gonna forgive you for that too. So yeah, man, I definitely didn't like that. Browns fans, but like I said, fans are fans, and people are fickle, and a lot of people, just the way life is, just the way the world is, will kick you when you're down. But yeah, man, definitely didn't like that. So hopefully, we'll see how that goes going forward. That's all I got though.
In 2 weeks until general election, whether you vote early, vote absentee, cast your ballot on November 5th, just make sure you vote. Until then, we'll be back on Friday ahead of a huge week 8 in NFL. All 32 teams will be on the field at some point between Thursday and Monday. There are no teams on bye week this week. We'll discuss some of the most surprising teams as well at the halfway point. And we'll also tell you how we feel the remainder of the season will pan out as well. Thanks for everyone for watching. Until next time, love one another.
Oh, one more thing. Sorry. NBA is back. Opening night tonight. Knicks and Celtics on right now. Lakers and Timberwolves. The later game tonight on TNT. Thank God the NBA is back. The sports world is back in full effect. World Series is on too. Starts Friday. Yep. I want to go to a game because it's here in LA. I'm only about 50 minutes away. But them tickets are crazy, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all I got though. Y'all be safe out there.